This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. We're in Manchester, London. I'm delighted to be joined by Matthew Macklin. Unfinished business this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, really disappointed 5 weeks ago when the fight got pulled. It was a great build-up. It was, massive anticipation towards it. But here we are. It's been postponed. But if anything, it's probably added to it a little bit. So, really looking forward to it now. I spoke to Alicia and also Savannah separately last night doing on a podcast. We hope to get Michaela and Clarissa today. But speaking to both girls, they are just so full of confidence, so full of belief and excitement. And it was great to talk in depth with them. But it'd be difficult to pick against them when you speak to them. But I'm guessing that I'm going to feel the same after I speak with Michaela and Clarissa, because confidence and self-belief, when you're talking to someone, it's really infectious, isn't it? They win you over. So I don't know who I think is going to win either fight. I think they're both so tough to call, but I know they're going to be great fights.
Are you surprised that it's the full card, exactly the same at the O2 again? I mean, were you in any doubt that we'd get the exact same card again?
Well, not doubt, just more worried that you won't get it, because I don't think there's any doubt that people would be willing to fight each other again, but you just don't know, do you? Injuries, illnesses, anything can happen. So, thank God it's all gone according to plan.
In terms of Savannah, when a statistic I found out, when that was reported in another newspaper, when she went pro in 2017, there were only 7 licensed British female fighters. Now there was over 50. I mean, how much has the sport moved, Matthew?
Massively, and I said this when we were on the boat that time on the coming up to the last one. And if you look, because that was obviously September, 5 weeks ago. But if you want to go back 10 years, almost, to the week or just after, you had the London Olympics. It was the first time that women's boxing was in the Olympics. Katie Taylor winning the gold medal was the record for the decibel levels, the noise level for any event at the Olympics. And you look at what she's done and how where women's boxing has come on since then. In 10 years, all women's cards, banging out the O2 arena, packed. Like, that's progress.
In terms of this fight, I mean, as an ex-fighter yourself, how would you have dealt with the postponement? I mean, it seems like only yesterday that we had this first fight announced. We were at the O2 and at the hotel, etc. But how would you have dealt with the fact that you've got to get in camp, I guess, once again?
Yeah, look, I think it's more difficult for the girls travelling from America, because obviously they'll have been over here, they will have adjusted to the time zone and everything. Now they've got to fly back, get over the jet lag. Don't get me wrong, they wouldn't be doing anything probably for a week or so anyway, because you've got to come off that peak. Boxing's different to football, for example. Football, you do your pre-season, you get fit, and then you maintain by playing. But boxing, you literally, you're peaking for that one night. So you can't stay on that peak level of fitness mentally, the mindset, emotionally, everything. You've got to come down off that and then build back up. So I guess the American girls would have gone back. They would have had the week, get over the jet lag, come off that peak anyway, get back in the gym, ease back into it, then build up to another peak and then taper back down. And for the girls here, they won't have had the travel to go through, or the time zone, but they would have definitely, I guess, take at least a week off and then start building back up.
Do you think the rivalry has got even bigger, especially with Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner? Obviously, you saw the 1-to-1 yesterday over Sky Sports and Box. I mean, that's just growing. That rivalry hasn't stopped at all.
Yeah, it's like anything. When there's a build-up, tension can get almost, it builds up, doesn't it? So they probably just want to get in there now and get it on, get it over with it, and get down to business. The waiting part, fight week, is the worst part, because you're waiting around. The training's all done, all right, you've got to make weight. That'd be a big focus now. But then once that's out of the way, you just want to try and relax, because really everything's done. Do you know what I mean? It's just about getting in there now. So it's wait. Fight week can be. You've got to do these. You've got to do these things as a fighter. You've got to push the fight. You've got promotional obligations, but really you just want to get in there.
Obviously, I do get your knowledge or your insight on some other things within boxing. Obviously, we had the Eubank-Benn postponement. Just to get your initial thoughts on that one, mate.
Well, I mean, it's a messy situation, but I think the right decision was made. Absolutely, they couldn't have gone on with the fight, but it's a shame for everyone on the card, you know, because they didn't get to fight. They put a lot of work in, a lot of sacrifice, probably a lot of financial investment in themselves as well, and the fight to get scrapped, it was the right thing to do. But it's tough all round, and you know what happens now, I don't know. You know as much as me. I just see what I see on social media and everything else, so we'll have to wait and see.
I know you don't want to speak too much about it, but what has boxing learned from last week?
I don't know really. I mean, I think it hasn't really been resolved yet, so I can't really comment until we can't say what we've learned until it's over, and it's still an ongoing situation. So I don't know.
Obviously, both fighters wanted to fight, but how did you think the whole situation was handled?
Sorry?
How did you think the whole situation was handled? Okay, that's fine then. Announcements or rumours that we could see Chisora Fury back again. Is there really an appetite for the third fight?
With Chisora, I mean, look, he's a big favourite, isn't he, Fury? But I think one of the criticisms about fighting boxing nowadays is the boxers aren't boxing often enough. You know, 2-3 times a year. You know, years ago, world champions would have in between fights. They would have non-title fights. They would box maybe 5, 6, 7 times a year, and they'd stay sharp that way. You know, now fighters are earning so much money per fight, they don't want to risk a loss against a stay busy fight. But you know, Fury is heavyweight champion. He for his own sharpness and I don't know, performance, it's good for him to stay active, and he wants to fight the best available opponent. Obviously, we all want to see the Joshua fight. He offered the Joshua fight for whatever reason, which I don't know what the ins and outs are, but it didn't happen. So what does he do? Does he just sit idle and not box? Or he probably thinks, well, I'm in the form of my career, I want to keep fighting. So I think, you know, Derek Chisora, he had a good win against Pulev. He had a great fight with Parker. You know, let's face it, weren't that long ago he gave Usyk life and death. So, you know with Derek Chisora, he's always going to bring the heat. He's going to give it everything he's got. He's going to leave it all in the ring. You know, Derek Chisora could fight anyone, and I'd watch the fight. And the same with Fury. So I think it's better that Fury stays active than not fight. You know, would we rather it be AJ, Usyk? Of course we would. But if that's an impossibility, then I think he's still doing the right thing by fighting.
There's also rumours we could see Anthony Joshua and Otto Wallin. Is that the right fight for AJ? It seems like a good possibility, that one.
You know, again, I think you've got to fight. They've got to make the best fight they can, and there's a lot, as you know, there's a lot of politics in boxing. So to the casual fan who thinks, well, why don't you fight this guy or that guy? Sometimes it's not quite as simple as that. So I'm sure their teams are trying to make the best fight they can with who's available at the time.
And finally then, what can we expect from this press conference in a moment? What we expected? The last one was fantastic, but this one should be even better.
Well, if the press has anything to go by, if the heads-to-heads with Alicia and Michaela are anything to go by, and even Clarissa and Savannah, I think we could get pretty feisty.
I hurt all the girls that I fight, but I will come out victorious.
Clock ticking till I become undisputed middleweight champion of the world.
This is another moment that my hand will be risen. I've fully prepared myself for a war.